Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Voss, Editor-in-Chief of Disobedient Media, and I'm here once again with Suzie Dawson, journalist, activist, and leader of the Internet Party of New Zealand. And we are here for Decipher You, where we analyze never before publicized Snowden files from the SID today, documents published by The Intercept. So Susie's about ready to say hi, I think, and I'll check in with chat. Let me see what you guys are saying.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I've just sent out a couple of tweets just to let people know that we're doing this. Sorry it's on kind of short notice, but since we could, we wanted to do it and to be here with you and to progress studying the files in this batch.
Absolutely.
Cool to see so many people in chat already. There's a big yay in chat. Yep, yay. Hey, everyone. Really good to see you. Okay, so if you were listening to Randy Critico interview Christine Assange and John Pilger yesterday, you would have heard Randy slip that there is going to be another online vigil event, bigger and better than ever before. I'm not going to give you any more details at the moment, but there is something up our sleeves. So there is a new Twitter account at Unity4J. I'll type it in chat right now. We want you guys to follow that account and keep an eye out for what we have planned in the next coming weeks.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good time.
Okay, let's get straight into studying these docs. Oh, thank you. They're so nice. So I'm going to share screen.
Awesome.
And we'll go straight into it. Okay, so we're up to number 79 today. And the first document is recent enhancements to the PLUS database. And Elizabeth, I'll let you read through it. I'm actually going to sit here and drink my little cold medicine while you read.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks like it is subtitled Adding Features to PLUS, and it begins unclassified, and it says PLUS is a management information system for SIGINT production. And just one second while I move the video so I can, for Zoom, sometimes it blocks the screen, so I just have to move it. But so it says PLUS is a management information system for SIGINT production, which contains statistical information and feedback about SIGINT serialized reports produced by NSAW, the RSOCs, US field sites, and second and third parties. In addition, it contains a database retrieval tool, as well as a colleague light tool. I've never heard of that before. PLUS receives data from Skycast database. And then it goes on to say, on the 10th of January 2005, the PLUS database started to include a new reporting vehicle, which is first instance reporting under the report kind EGRAM. And it says FIR cover sheet information will be retrievable via the current PLUS interface. FIR source records will be added once the technical details are completed. Any feedback on FIRs can be forwarded once the report is in PLUS. FIRs will be included in EGRAM pools, and FIR serials can be recognized as having a dash preceding the one-up serial number, e.g. 3R, et cetera, et cetera. And then it goes on to say, in addition to the aforementioned FIR report type, here are some PLUS-related accomplishments from 2004 and where we are headed in 2005. So 2004 highlights. In January, NSA began an exchange of selected product source data with Canada's Communications Secretary Security Establishment, CSE, modeled on the exchange already in place with the UK's Government Communications Headquarters, GCHQ. We also began discussions with Australia's Defence Signals Directorate, DSD, and New Zealand's Government Communications Security Bureau, which is, of course, the GCSB, on a similar exchange. These exchanges have resulted in a nearly 50% increase in additional source records per month in PLUS related to second-party issued reports. A major upgrade of the PLUS Sybase database software was implemented on 3rd of May, which allowed PLUS to expand the lengths of many fields. Also in May, Plus version 5.5 was released, which included many bug fixes, and in addition to the number of limiters and breakouts. A major feature was the ability to add additional report types. In June, as a result of the May release, report type SID on demand, or SID, was added with data backloaded to the beginning of January 2004. And in November, a large change to the NSRP feed process was implemented, which reduced the daily load time during which the Plus database is unavailable to users by 2 hours. New discussions began with various data systems owners to export Skycast data to other databases, notably Runke, Scorpio 4, and more recently KSP and Rainman. And then the last, goes on to talk about 2005 initiatives, saying a new Plus account request form was made available on the Plus webpage in January 2005. The Skycast server was relocated to Serverland on 15th of February, and this has resulted in a significantly faster system response time and thus better service. Upcoming enhancements to Plus during February will include the ability to pull distros on cover sheets and access to additional fields from the Plus interface. In the fall, a new and final version of Plus will be released, with version 5.6 including numerous breakouts and data choice limiters. A new SIGINT feedback form will be available sometime in 2005. As you can see, Plus is moving ahead with activities to support SID's transformational efforts. For more information on Plus, please contact, etc., etc.
Interesting. Okay, so two things there. First of all, Serverland. Serverland is an interesting name.
Yeah, very.
For their where they're warehousing their servers. I'd be interested to know if Serverland is outsourced or if it is in-house.
Definitely.
So I'd love someone to look up Serverland on edwardsnowden.com first and foremost, and possibly on WikiLeaks, but more likely to be on Edward Snowden. I'd say there's something there. Is Serverland a commercial enterprise, or is Serverland an in-house NSA data warehouse?
It's a good question.
That's the first thing. The second thing, I found it interesting that this is confirmation that as of 2005, the first instance reporting from Australia and New Zealand was not included, but that they were planning to include it. And I would say it's almost certain that Australia and New Zealand would have begun contributing to that database shortly thereafter. I'm sure we'll see that in the coming documents in the coming years. And that is interesting in and of itself. If New Zealand in particular's product reporting, intelligence products are going straight into an NSA database, it's very interesting because we know that there are cases where if they're unable to spy on their own citizens, they have other eyes of the Five Eyes do it. But if they're uploading those intelligence products to this database, which is accessible by all of the Five Eyes, it just shows you exactly how incestuous it is and how easily accessible any information about, or that is the result of spying on those citizens, how accessible it is to the agency of the home country. Definitely. So we know that the USA was having the UK spy on American citizens for them. We know that New Zealand was having the NSA spy on New Zealand citizens for them. If they were all producing their intelligence reports into this Plus database, it's effectively there's no difference in if they were doing it themselves, because the intelligence products are all ending up in the same place. That's my read of this document.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, most of it was incomprehensible to me. So that sounds like a good interpretation.
Some of it's incomprehensible to me as well. And as we're reading through it, I'm thinking it would be so useful to map these systems. And I feel almost like we're a bit late in the game to actually do some like architectural mapping, because we'd have to go back through from the beginning. And maybe that's something that we do, at the end of the series when we eventually run out of docs, we go back over the videos from the beginning and start doing systems mapping to understand all of these different databases and products, how they interface with each other, who are the user bases for them, and what they contain, and what the evolution of them is, as each is phased in and out. The tech geek in me would find that very interesting. It might not be so much of public interest, but for me, it's very interesting. We've started to get a really good feel for the different areas and groups in the directorate at NSA, in Signals Intelligence Directorate. We have a really good understanding for how they integrate and how they work together. But a lot of the system jargon is still just jargon to us at this point. So that's why I think systems mapping could be like really powerful for us to do. But like I said, we'd have to do it as a recap. We'd have to recap each of the episodes, look again at the docs relating to each program, and then map them. Now, however, I think some of that work might have been done because there are a lot of architectural documents that have actually been published. There's been several that we've looked at so far where they cover like a dozen or more products and databases, and they already map those systems. But I don't think there is like a global, like comprehensive, all-encompassing, all-inclusive system architectural map for NSA that I've seen so far. Though maybe it's coming. Who
Hopefully,
knows?
yeah.
Nice. But I'm going to make a quick note of that document.
Awesome.
And I'm just going to do for Serverland and for first instance reporting for all of 5i intelligence products, and just make a note of that. Now, how's chat going? Have we found out anything about Serverland?
It looks like
there's 5 on Serverland in edwardsnowden.com.
That's what it looks like.
Is there a Serverland result in WikiLeaks hacking team emails? You're kidding me. No, this is something completely unrelated. Kathy B, what's with the hacking team link? What was the significance of that hacking team link? Yeah, please do put it in the Etherpad. You guys, I'm sure someone's sharing the Etherpad link. So the Etherpad is a collaborative document that anyone can write or make notes in, and we have a different one for every time, each episode of Decipher You. So if you have research links or you found anything out about questions that we've asked, like about Serverland, please go ahead and put them into that document.
Absolutely, really helpful.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, let's move on. General Hayden. Here we go. Next document, family battle rhythms.
Oh, look, we're looking at a doc from MG Richard Quirk again. It's been a while since I've seen that name. The subtitle is Work and Family Staying in Sync, event planned for March 4. And it starts unclassified, and it says, in the aftermath of September 11, 2001, General Hayden invited NSA families into the building to reassure them that their loved ones were safe when they came to work. That was the first Family Battle Rhythms evening. Since that time, General and Mrs. Hayden have hosted 6 more Family Battle Rhythms evenings, each with a different theme and a different purpose. On the 4th of March, Mrs. Quirk and I will co-host the 7th Family Battle Rhythms. The theme will be Deployed in Place, dealing with mission and family challenges. This evening is meant to support those military and civilian personnel who are working long hours, are on shift schedules, and or are under a lot of stress due to their job. The evening speakers will address how to maintain a healthy family life, how to support family members, and where to find resources for the families of military and agency employees. Activities for the children will be available throughout the evening, including pizza and drinks. I strongly encourage military and civilian members who are deployed in place to register for this event. And then it gives some details about registration. So let's see if there's anything else. I think this is just, from what I'm seeing, it's just like the registration details, like email so-and-so. Suzie, can you scroll down some more and see if there's anything below this?
Yeah, I'm just busy marveling at this part. You'll need the following information for all non-agency or family participants, including children: social security number, citizenship. So they must be screening them, like security screening them even.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's literally Mr. and Mrs. Hayden, I mean, you know, it I guess it makes sense, but.
What is a decal?
Oh, that's well, it depends. It's like a, okay, chat's going to be able to describe this better than I can, but it's like kind of like when you, I forget if it's just for cars or if it's for clothing, but basically it's like a little like a pin or a badge, but it's not a pin or a badge. It's the same type of concept, but.
Allow 30 minutes for processing into the building. Jesus. It's worse than airport security.
Definitely.
Okay. I don't think there's anything particularly interesting there other than that your children have to undergo security checks if you're non-agency.
Yeah, very, very, sounds like not worth it really, but.
And for a 2-hour event, like queue for half an hour for your 2-hour event.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on.
So we're looking at letter to the editor. Too much redundancy is redundant from the editor. And it says the comment, obviously name redacted, says the redundancies illustrated in the first paragraph of the article are indeed proliferating. Not only do I see them in print, I hear them spoken on the street, and what's more disturbing, I see them printed in mass media such as the newspaper and spoken on television. It all reminds me very much of a book I read several years ago by a journalist named Edwin Newman called Strictly Speaking. Mr. Newman addressed redundancies as well as a host of other crimes against the English language, characterized by the non-word irregardless. And speaking of redundancies, let's not forget some of the classics, such as basic fundamentals, true facts, each and every, one and only, close proximity, general consensus of opinion, and one of my personal favorites, flashes of consistency. Interesting. Okay, I think that looks like it's about it. So basically that's a grammar Nazi.
Yeah, I was just about to say exactly that. People who, you know, are so offended or obsessed by the way that other people use words are very interesting to me, especially since I constantly make up new words or stick words together, and I use irregardless, so no wonder I'm an NSA target.
Definitely.
Oh, so God.
Says, yeah, remember the Alamo. And don't forget the sunglasses. Life in San Antonio, home to the Medina Regional Security Operations Center, MRSOC. So today is Valentine's Day. The sun is shining. It is 78 degrees here in San Antonio. The trees are budding. Oh God, this is nauseating. Spring planting season will begin soon. My garden is calling to me. Winter is over. Yes, winter is short here in South Texas. It makes me smile to remember all of the seemingly endless, icy, snowy days I have spent elsewhere in other Februaries, and I wonder what did I do to deserve such beautiful weather in such a gorgeous location? Weather is not the only thing that is beautiful here in San Antonio. The close proximity of the Riverwalk and all of the wonderful restaurants will make it difficult to know how to spend a pleasant evening. Weekends, evenings, and days off are filled with entertainment options. There are a lot of local fairs, San Antonio Spurs basketball games, picnics in parks at nearby lakes, and all of the activities associated with a large city. San Antonio competes with Dallas to be recognized as the 8th largest city in the US. Last year, Dallas won as the 8th largest, with San Antonio coming in 9th. Perhaps this year, San Antonio will rank 8th. It is a big city, but feels like a small town. San Antonio stands out as the prime vacation spot in Texas. The main attractions, in addition to the famous Riverwalk, include SeaWorld, Fiesta Texas, a large zoo, water parks with long seasons, the Alamo, and the rodeo with its kickoff cowboy breakfast, which made the Guinness Book of World Records, all within a short radius of the city limits. My family had to be convinced that they were not giving up the fun we had at the ocean by moving to San Antonio. It only took one trip to beautiful South Padre Island on the Gulf of Mexico to win them over before BP's oil spill. We watched the shrimp boats, enjoyed the sun and the surf on the beaches of the Gulf of Mexico, and sampled the fresh seafood at one of the local restaurants before journeying back home. Are there negatives to living in Texas? Well, yes, there are some extra hot days in the middle of the summer. You can spend an entire day driving without ever leaving the state or reaching the border, and the driving patterns on the roadways are different and require some adjustment before being able to confidently navigate them. Perhaps the biggest change I noticed was the cost of car insurance for my teenage son. With a perfect driving record, no tickets, no accidents, and a consistent good student discount. My first car insurance payment almost sent me into sticker shock. Nevertheless, the positives outweigh the negatives. Housing is extremely economical and very affordable. Large sprawling ranches, gorgeous two-story homes, or a little house on the prairie on several acres can be purchased for a fraction of the cost of East or West Coast housing. In addition, several accredited universities are located within the local area. Local public and private school systems are extremely good, offering many opportunities for their students. Medical facilities are top quality, and there is less traffic congestion. Did I mention Texas friendly and no state income tax? Yes, Texas is still the friendly place that has always been one of its most notable trademarks. If you're looking for a change of pace in a warm, friendly environment, we hope you will come down and join us, etc. So, finally got through with that. That was awful.
Yeah, you might want to explain NSA Lonely Planet for the newcomers.
Oh, yeah. So we've seen about a dozen of these, and they are all basically trying to talk up the various deployment locations. So it'll be like Pine Gap, and they'll try and make the location sound really good. Like, oh, we can go in hot air balloons around Pine Gap, and so this one obviously is San Antonio, but we've seen a lot of others. And I mean, we saw Hawaii as well, which they probably didn't really need to talk up too much to advertise as a location you would want to go to, but I think we also saw another one we did see, I think, is Baghdad, actually, where they tried to say, oh, there aren't as many bombs as you would think,
Chat is not very impressed with the NSA's Lonely Planet guide.
No, it's horrible. Just be thankful you guys don't have to read it. That sucks.
Predict what's true. Woo-woo, fun in San Antonio for the people who deserve it least. Well, yeah, after a hard day of targeted killings, you can go and watch the shrimp boats in San Antonio.
Until another spill happens.
Okay, next doc.
Okay, so coming soon, a SID classification guide. Also, a new development with the email classify tool. So a new SID classification guide, as opposed to the NSA CSS classification manual, is on the way. It will significantly revamp what is considered comment. A lot of information previously covered by CCO or comment or SI will be proposed for handling outside SI channels. The new guidelines will be very different from what we've known in the past. The guide should be out for review in the coming weeks. Regarding the classify tool for email, the version that's been deployed that uses Five Eyes as the default, and note that the and is gone before New Zealand. That's the new format. I'm not really understanding what I'm reading out loud here, but all comment that is not marked.
It's completely ridiculous. That's why they've just told you that they rather than saying related to USA, Australia, Canada, Great Britain, and New Zealand, they're just going to say Great Britain, New Zealand.
What?
can you,
That's weird.
somebody, the weirdest part about this, honest to God, is that they would have had a meeting about this. They would have had a whole bunch of bigwigs in the room, and they would have been like, maybe we should remove the "and" before New Zealand. What do you think? Oh yes, let's do that. Let's put this, we write it into our classification guide. We're going to remove the word "and." This is the kind of like retarded corporate like undertaking, so to see even in the intelligence community.
Yeah.
Moving along. The interesting part so far is that they're saying that rather than classifying secret intelligence by default, they are going to be moving a lot of information outside of the secret clearance level. But let's continue.
So, yeah, that document looks like it's done. Huh?
All comment that is not marked no foreign national is automatically related to Five Eyes. The Five Eyes designator should be removed from your email classification markings if your email includes comment, because the marking is then redundant, i.e. comment without any special handling caveat is assumed to be releasable to Five Eyes. This is just nonsense, bureaucratical junk, quite frankly.
Sorry, I had to shift the way that I'm sitting, so I had to then shift the camera a bit. But
you're good.
So, Lions Pride fighting terrorism on the Horn of Africa. This sounds interesting. So the subtitle, this is from Captain Katie Pierce, USA, the officer in charge of OIC Lions Pride, and it's in 2000. I forget which way the date goes. Are they doing this the American style? Anyway, but so the subtitle is
American style. So
yeah, obviously.
1st of March 2005.
Awesome. Yeah, so Ethiopian location in linguistics and US technology and training, so equals more intelligence on terrorism in the Horn of Africa. So the NSA is an advantage when dealing with the global war on terrorism in the Horn of Africa. The deployed SIGINT Operations Center, aka Lions Pride, located in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Since its inception in February 2002, Lions Pride has evolved from 12 workstations and approximately the same number of Ethiopians performing one mission to 46 multifunctional workstations and 103 Ethiopians, along with the help of 8 US military personnel performing 5 missions. The annual planning conference attendees get together for a photograph after a short farewell ceremony for a Lions Pride team member. Due in large part to the Lions Pride, the US-Ethiopia third-party relationship established after 9/11 continually emanates success. The benefit of this relationship is that the Ethiopians provide the location and linguistics, and we provide the technology and training. Ethiopia is ideally located in the Horn, surrounded by bordering countries whose governmental stability is questionable. These surrounding countries' rule of law provide ample opportunities for terrorists to hide and seek refuge, gather logistics, train and plan and prepare their activities. Ethiopia's position provides the partnership unique access to the targets. Additionally, the Ethiopians have an unwavering willingness to expand the partnership and provide linguistic support for US needs. In fact, even in the midst of increasing hostilities between Ethiopia and Eritrea, General Yohannes, chief of the Ethiopian Military Intelligence Directorate, has said that the current political discussions between our countries will not affect the valued partnership, and added that plans to strengthen the relationship continue. The Lions Pride mission has expanded threefold. It now processes high-frequency and non-high-frequency collection from multiple outside sources and collects and processes high-frequency from Sudan, Somalia, and Yemen. In 2004, Lions Pride sent nearly 7,700 transcripts to GRSOC, and over 900 reports were generated from these transcripts, many being sole source reports from Lions Pride. The intelligence collected and processed have proven significant to the fight against terrorism in the Horn of Africa. Lions Pride recently hosted its first annual planning conference. Attendees included representatives from the Ethiopian Military Intelligence Directorate, GRSOC, etc., European Technical Center, Lions Pride, and the CIA station, US Embassy, Addis Ababa. Topics of discussion included an overview of the EMID organization, SIGINT human interaction, the partner's wish list, equipment status, and software upgrades, training, armament software, new areas of cooperation, and mission overviews. After the discussion portion of the conference, attendees traveled to Gondar, Ethiopia, to experience one of the 3 Lions Pride remote sites firsthand. Lions Pride is poised to remain at the head of our efforts in the Horn of Africa. And it looks like that's the end of the document from here.
Okay, that's kind of interesting to me because in the tables of second and third party partners that are on electrospaces.net, there is absolutely no mention whatsoever of Ethiopia. And that document is, in fact, the first time that I've ever heard of Ethiopia being a US intelligence partner. It's particularly interesting that they posture Ethiopia as being surrounded by unstable countries when Ethiopia is definitely an unstable country.
Absolutely.
And has, while the current government may be cooperating with the US, the average people or the average person in Ethiopia is not pro-US at all. So that is really interesting. Also, I couldn't help but think, are we going to see Lonely Planet Guide for Addis Ababa?
Yeah, exactly.
Enjoy the Ethiopian sunsets. Go for a walk with your 12 armored guards. Like, what has chat got to say about this? I'm saying there is bases in Ethiopia. It's also interesting that they openly acknowledge that the CIA station is at the US Embassy in Addis Ababa. And actually, was that unclassified, that passage about the embassy? No, it wasn't.
Everything was classified or higher, I think.
Yeah, secret. This is secret. Yeah. Okay, moving along. Who is redacted? Wow, you guys must be busy on Twitter. I have a bunch of new notification stacks to them. Oh, cool. There's some very cool people telling everyone that we're live. Oh, nice. Look at this. I've just been sent this on Twitter. The Department of Homeland Security is going to compile a database of journalists and bloggers. To track journalists and media influencers. As part of its media monitoring, the DHS seeks to track more than 290,000 global news sources, as well as social media in over 100 languages. Unfortunately, increasing government encroachment on the freedom of the press is the sinister backdrop to all of this. The data to be collected includes a publication's sentiment, as well as geographical spread, top posters, languages, momentum, and circulation. No value for the contract was disclosed. Unfortunately, I cannot see that last part well. 24, Task 5, Media Engagement, 24/7 access to a password-protected media influencer database, including journalists, editors, correspondents, social media influencers, bloggers, etc., with the ability to browse the database based on location, beat, and type of influencer, ability to perform ad hoc searches on the database based on keywords, concepts, or using Boolean search terms, ability to perform searches in other languages, including Arabic, Chinese, and Russian, in order to find influencers that publish in these languages. For each influencer found, present contact details, and great, fantastic, otherwise known as selectors for the NSA database. and other information that could be relevant, including publications that influencer writes for, and an overview of the previous coverage published by the media influencer, ability to create unlimited media lists for specific topics, ability to export the contact details of the media influencers per media list, ability to send out unlimited press releases via the platform, and to monitor the open rate of the press releases sent out, ability to manage contacts. Jesus, what could go wrong?
Indeed.
That's on my timeline if you guys want to check that out. Unbelievable. Okay, back to the docs. Who is redacted and what is his job?
It says, hello, I'm the blank, the SID Workforce Performance Management Executive. What does that entail? I work with the agency's Associate Directorate for Human Resources, HRS, and the SID leadership to provide the implementation, planning, SID policy, oversight, and execution of our SID Workforce Performance Management System. What does that mean to you? If you have a question or problem with the following issues, I am available to help. The SID P3 process to include senior P3s, SID promotion criteria and allocation strategies, SID promotion process, and SID awards and recognition strategies. A very interesting experience I've had in SID so far was the creation of a new honorary award, the SID Distinguished Service Award, DSA, and this award filled a void in our SID level recognition program, and the awardees have been impressive and impressed with the new award. Currently, we are in the midst of the NSA 2005 promotion program, and I meet with POCs from each SID Deputy Directorate and intern panel bi-weekly to make sure we are meeting timeline requirements, resolve issues, and keep the information flow between SID and HRS open, Human Resources open. So to learn more about the promotion process, awards and recognition, and other performance management topics, please go to the webpage. I can be reached at, etc. So more awards. And for those who don't know, we have seen a lot of awards. Like they love to give each other little meaningless, like clocks and awards of whatever variety for pretty minor stuff. I guess it's the carrot part of the carrot and stick. So.
Okay, let's have a catch up on chat again. You guys are so cool. We're so lucky to have such an awesome community. Have you guys got any questions before we move on to some other documents? Hey RSFO, hey Eric, hey Fly, hey Matt. And Josiah as well, hi. So many cool people. Okay, the vigil. Yes, there will be another Reconnect Julian online vigil. It's actually going to be under hashtag Unity4J. And that's why I'd like you guys to follow the @Unity4J on Twitter. The dates and times are not yet public. So all I can say at this point is just coming soon. But we are planning to do it much bigger, and I mean, I want to say bigger and better, but today, for the first time, I actually got to sit and rewatch the vigil. And because I was spending so much time organizing during the vigil, I actually missed a lot of it when it was happening, even though I was present at it. And today I sat and watched like probably 4 or 5 hours of it continuously. And I was actually amazed at how awesome it was. Like, I knew it was a beautiful thing to have all those people together on one stream. I knew that was like really special and really historic. But to actually sit there and listen to like the stories that Kiriakou was telling, and Ray McGovern, and listening to Lee Camp and listening to Tim Black, it was amazing. It was really, really, really cool, because I'm a fan of all these people. I've watched all their work for years and years. So it was a really amazing, incredible experience for me. I know it was an incredible experience for Elizabeth too, when Ray was calling out her work and shouting out her efforts. It was really cool. If someone had told me a few years ago that I'd be involved in something like that, I would have just been like, no, surely not. So I'm very lucky to be a part of that. It's really awesome.
Hi, Katie. I see you. I'm just scrolling up through chat for a minute. It's nice to see some new names.
You okay, Elizabeth? I think you're muted.
No, I'm here. I was just reading
cool.
the chat.
Chat's moving so fast, I'm finding it really hard to keep up. Hi, Katie. Randy spilled the beans during the Christine Assange interview. Yeah, he did. It was really my fault. I take the blame for that. I discussed it with him, some of our plans, but I hadn't told him. It's like off the record, don't tell anyone. So he was valiantly just trying to shout us out and help to promote it, which was like really cool, but just a little bit premature because we haven't nailed down the final details yet. And usually we don't talk about those things publicly until they're actually happening. It was an amazing interview. I actually really, I always love Christine Assange's interviews. Yeah, I've barely done any writing, to be honest with you. And Elizabeth deserves all the credit in terms of the writing, because she has been pumping out a new article every single day. Every day she has put out a new piece. I could never do that. I just don't have a hope in hell. But Elizabeth, if you check out disobedientmedia.com, she has just got awesome article after awesome article. And I saw 2 of them. I guess some little birdie sent them to WikiLeaks in a direct message, because 2 of Elizabeth's articles were retweeted by WikiLeaks today, which was fantastic. And Elizabeth's work has just been top notch on Reconnect Julian, and she's committed to, one piece every single day. There's a new piece from Elizabeth about the movement to Reconnect Julian. It's amazing. I'm totally the opposite. Like, I'll spend, like, as you guys know, I'll spend like 3, 4, 6 months like stewing over a piece before I actually publish it. But Elizabeth just is amazing at writing really short, sharp, punchy pieces and, you know, churning them out every day. It's just incredible that she can do that. I thought Christine's entire interview was quote worthy. I sent a few tweets quoting Christine once I actually got to hear the full playback of Randy's show.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good interview that they had. I just thought that because it was kind of late, that it would be good for people to hear the suggestions that she had for people to help with this whole, Reconnect Julian movement and effort. So I thought that writing down the advice she had would be a good idea. It would be helpful. And so I did that, and I wanted to publish it only on Steemit because I know that it was more of an advocacy piece than straight up news. So I thought it would be most relevant to publish it there and keep the straight news sort of articles on Disobedient Media. But it looks like some confusion happened, and people mistook the phrase Steemit exclusive to mean that I was somehow, claiming to have some sort of exclusive with Christine, which obviously I wasn't part of that interview at all. I just published it on Steemit.
Huh. I'm surprised because Steemit exclusive is a term that's maybe if you don't use Steemit, maybe they wouldn't be familiar with it.
Yeah,
but
I guess they just mistook the word exclusive to somehow mean that I was. I mean, I don't even see how I would that would even be possible, considering I had no part in it. But yeah.
Well, they did shout out our online vigil. They said some really lovely things about the vigil.
Oh, absolutely.
Which was really cool to hear, super cool to hear. And I was so excited when we did the vigil and Christine sent us those messages of support. That was extremely cool. Like, her opinion means so much to me.
Definitely.
And her support means so much to me. So
Absolutely.
it was a really big deal for me. Very, 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 very cool. Protect What's True says Elizabeth's articles are excellent in capital letters, really matter so much to so many of us. I completely agree with you. Brian Crosby says, I heard Steemit having issues getting emails out. Steemit is inundated with new user requests, and they're trying to
you can
verify.
Thank Suzie for that directly.
I can't take all the credit. I think that, we helped push that snowball a little bit, but the snowball was already rolling before we got there, and I can't take too much credit for it. But Steemit is really manifesting as the platform of the future, the publishing platform of the future, and I'm very pleased that it's one way that we're circumventing the censorship issue. I mean, just the fact that our work can be preserved there permanently and can't be interfered with and can't be taken down is like a really, really big deal. Really big deal.
Absolutely. And that's what when people talk to me about like having issues with the cryptocurrency or not trusting cryptocurrency, because I'm not an expert in that area at all myself, I just explain that even if you take that totally out of the equation and just throw that aside, it's so important just for the sake of preserving, against censorship.
Mayamir in the Panhandle says, Elizabeth, you are amazing. Capital letters. Okay, let's get back into the docs, guys. Oh, that's amazing, Protect What's True, that you read that. That is really, really cool. Okay. Protect What's True saying that or she, has just finished reading Understanding World War III, which is a piece that I wrote, I think last November or last October. No, it would have been, it was like just, I think I wrote it just after the 2016 election. Homeland's new agenda fits right in. Wish this article was being taught in school, they say. Bullshit, man. What is the Serverland Security Act and Homeland Security Act? Joe is here. Oh, cool. Hi, Joe. Oh, of course, because it'll be like Saturday afternoon in New Zealand. Hello. Matt Monroe, I think there's a second link to the article if it ends after 20 minutes, because Randy did send me 2 different links. And yes, Jimmy Dore is on. Oh, hi, Laura. Protect what's true is a girl. That's very cool. Yes, Brian Steamer is in beta. Please add the Serverland stuff into it. Thank you, Bullshit Man. Please add it into the Etherpad. Super cool. Okay, you guys. We've already got through so many docs tonight and we haven't even been streaming for very long. So I'm going to do a couple more because I'm like quite excited with the progress so far. Okay, global vision, accessing multiple databases with a single logon. Pretty sure we've like been through this stuff before. This is like the open access like version of the database. On February 28th, analysis. Yeah, we've talked about the global vision single sign-on before. I don't think there's anything in here that we need to read through. I'll just have a quick scan of it. No, okay, we've covered this ground before, so I'm going to skip that one. Hungarian MIO reporting initiative to serve as a model. Hungarian SIGINT is invited to write reports for dissemination through NSA. During his recent visit to Hungary, the Assistant Director of Foreign Affairs for Signals Intelligence Directorate Operations, such and such, delivered a letter from NSA's SIGINT Director to the Director General of the Hungarian Military Intelligence Office. This letter praised the quality of the Military Intelligence Office's analysis and reporting and invited the Military Intelligence Office to work with the NSA as part of our extended SIGINT enterprise. So in other words, they sucked up to them and invited them to be a third-party partner with the goal of equipping Military Intelligence Office analysts to write SIGINT reports for dissemination through the NSA system to our intelligence community customers, note customers. The SIGINT director offered reporting seminars to our Hungarian partner. Over the past 18 months, 2 tailored reporting courses have been conducted for MIO in order to familiarize MIO with NSA's reporting style and how it is driven by our customers' intelligence needs. Based on considerable strides in MIO reporting after those courses, an intermediate level course on NSA reporting format will be conducted this month. In addition to providing unique access to Serbian and Ukrainian military targets, MIO has been instrumental in providing intelligence that answers high priority CIA and DIA requirements that NSA would otherwise not be able to answer due to manpower constraints. Interesting, the mention of Ukraine there, and we're back in 2005. Engaging foreign partners on initiatives such as this will leverage our partners' language target and analytic expertise to help fill some of the gaps left by personnel reassignments and mission reductions. Very interesting. So yet again, they're openly admitting that the third-party partnerships are actually a way for them to usurp the resources of those countries, the human resources and the hardware systems, hardware and network, and even financial resources. Which is something that we've seen consistently before across previous documents. Okay, I'll just check chat again with you guys. Serverland Security and Maintenance Guide dates 2008 through 2011, but this document is dated 2005, that's correct. Douglas Hoffman, what is your question about WikiLeaks? The document that WikiLeaks shared about the FBI's letter to MLK, how is it by the FBI if it says US Negroes? Well, that document was written in the 60s, wasn't it? So I think that's why. Yeah, Hope, I've got the same reaction to when I read Serbian and Ukrainian military targets. I'm so happy to see you guys digging into Serverland. Thank you so much for that. I really, really want to know, is it a private contracting company? If so, it's probably ex-intelligence people anyway. Or is it an in-house server, like data repository of the NSA? Any background, any links, anything related to that that you can find would be like greatly, greatly appreciated. Burton 8 is asking, Hungary is Soros's homeland, isn't it? Yeah, I think this world is really Orwellian too. Okay, and we go back to the documents. Redacted language DSIL. Sorry, I'm just going to cough. Hold a second. Speaks on tips for new analysts as part of the Year of Languages. Now is the best time to be a language analyst at NSA. Such and such, a language DISL assigned to the International Security Issues product line, spoke at NSAW on language analysis through a wide-angled lens, tips for new analysts, as part of the celebration of 2005 as the Year of Languages. A 38-year veteran of NSA began her career as a high school work-study student. During high school, she attended Vietnamese language classes on the weekends and in summer. After graduating, she was hired on as a full-time language analyst. So that's interesting. They took her straight out of high school. They didn't even wait. Since that time, she's learned a number of new languages and has been able to use her skill in several overseas positions. Such and such began her talk by stressing that it's all about them, the customer. It isn't about us. To answer the customer's needs, she emphasized 4 questions that language analysts should try to answer. What really happened? What was the mindset of the target? What are the implications of the event on the current situation, the tactical view? What is the impact of the event on the future, the strategic view? By no means does she imply that answering these questions is easy. The SIGINT that we deal with is often incomplete and vague, but our goal should be to try to give our customers as much information and analysis about the SIG event as possible. The role of, which sounds awfully like making it up, to be honest, the role of the language analyst is crucial in this process. Language analysts must have a deep knowledge of the language as well as solid analytical skills. However, we know from previous NSA documents that most of their language analysts don't pass level 3, certainly not at level 4 proficiency, i.e. like fully converse in the language. And that in some cases, such as Arabic, they're using like machine translations because they literally don't have the analysts, and anything that's machine translated, as you'll know if you've tried to translate stuff in Google, is basically crap. Moving along, she suggested 3 methods that language analysts can use to improve their language and critical thinking skills. First, a language analyst must question himself or herself constantly. We all have our own set of values and ideas based on our culture and environment, but we need to recognize that our targets may have a completely different worldview. We need to be careful that our own set of values does not interfere with objective analysis of our targets. Secondly, we need to take advantage of the huge cadre of experts, both at NSA and elsewhere. Listen to what other people are saying about your target, whether at the CIA or in the press and in academia. The more knowledge you have, the better able you will be to understand and exploit your target. God, it's like so, like, I find this so hard to read because how gross to like get up in the morning and go somewhere where you're actually targeting, where you look at other human beings as a target. I find it grotesque. The last tool is to travel to the area of interest via a PCS, TBY, or in a language immersion course. So basically they want you to deploy there. She emphasizes that the deep cultural knowledge and language skills that can be obtained as the result of foreign travel will dramatically change the way you think and the way you approach your career. Now is the best time to take advantage of in-country language immersion training, as the commitment from managers to support language training is strong, and there is money to back up that commitment. She finished by stressing that this is without a doubt the best time to be a language analyst at NSA. No, it wasn't the Cold War, it wasn't the post-Cold War, it wasn't during, Bosnia or Rwanda, it was right now, 2005. She advised taking advantage of all the opportunities that are open for language analysts, not just for our own careers, but for the millions of Americans who are relying on us to do the best job possible. Because millions of Americans think to themselves, oh, I hope the NSA is doing a good job of spying on Vietnam today. Yes, Fly, it's a lack of empathy. And when I read words like those just saying about like the best way to exploit your target, what a sick way to look at the world. Everyone's a potential target to be exploited. It's like, to me, it's sociopathy. It's like government sponsored sociopathy. Propaganda says in the assassination complex, they talk about dehumanization by using legalese and doublespeak. That's absolutely true. And they also cover it all up with this corporate speech as well. We are serving our customers, never mind that your customer is the CIA or your customer is the FBI, and what your customer is trying to achieve is like a destabilization agenda for an entire country, literally to the detriment of millions of people. We're just serving our customer. We're just providing our customer with the best product possible, even if that results in genocide. It's okay because we're just serving our customer. The NatSec Wonk 66, MMA 66, would love to do a debate or discussion to defend the NSA if you're interested, Suzie. Yeah, sure, that would be great. Good luck. Good luck. But sure, by all means, I would absolutely love to hear like why, you know, on what grounds you can defend the NSA targeting like soccer mums in the suburbs, you know, from New Zealand. I would absolutely love to hear why it's critical infrastructure to spy on the entire planet, to have a global network, to map the entire globe. I would love to hear it by all means. But I strongly suggest that before we have that debate that you actually go and watch the last 30 episodes of Decipher You so that you understand what it is that you are defending before you attempt to have that debate. You might also actually want to go and read You, Me and the GCSB, which is the article that I wrote last year where I completely destroyed all of the talking points of the director of the Government Security Communications Bureau in New Zealand, which is the equivalent of the NSA. For anyone that's interested, it's up on Spinbin. I think that's the link. If not, just go to spinbin.co.nz. But yeah, anybody that wants to debate me and tell me like why it's totally awesome that the NSA has built a transnational spying operation that includes over 100 countries and completely violates the sovereignty of all of them is totally welcome to. I would take the debate on quite happily. Brian Cosby, I completely agree with you that the deep state needs to go ASAP, and people need to understand that the deep state is a transnational operation. It is not just American. Protect What's True says the NSA is a toxic environment that they probably end up feeling it's okay to deal this way because dishonesty comes off as inevitable. I remember getting one of many nasty messages I got from New Zealand agents, and they said, you have to submit to the system because you cannot beat the system. That's literally what they said. Like, we work for it because you can't, it's impossible to work against it. They truly believe this, right? Like, that the system is unbeatable. The system is like, whatever. Well, Julian Assange is proof that the system is not unbeatable. Actually, that people of like morals and ethics can make a stand against the system and can change the world, despite the system, despite having 800 agents, you know, set against Assange and WikiLeaks. I'm not sure if the person who asked me to debate them about NSA is even still here, Fly. But I did see like halfway up the chat there somewhere they did offer to debate me. That would be very interesting to do. For example, I mean, one of the things that I would love to hear from someone who wants to defend the NSA is like why it's okay that they're ingesting Google Classroom data of 5-year-olds. Yeah, Miriam Strangel, that was basically what they're saying. They're like, well, if you take on the system, you lose, so it's best that you join it. It's like, oh my God, like, is this, and people ask like how the Nazis took over Germany. I mean, this is like pretty much bang on. Fly, who did you boot? Did you boot the person who wanted to debate me? Douglas Hoffman, I'm pretty sure it's US Negroes, not us Negroes, in the Martin Luther King letter. But I'm not sure why we're talking about the FBI Martin Luther King letter late when we're studying Snowden documents. Okay. I mean, the debate about NSA, there was a really fantastic debate between Glenn Greenwald and General Keith Alexander, and Greenwald just totally obliterated Alexander. I was watching today ex-CIA Director James Woolsey debate Ray McGovern, and Ray McGovern completely just made mincemeat of James Woolsey. So this oh, Laura, you read it with your husband. That's like the coolest thing that I've heard. You actually read Understanding World War III with your husband. What an awesome relationship to be studying like geopolitical analysis documents for fun together. That's my idea of a relationship. That's very, very, very cool. Yeah, I love Understanding World War III. It's a really geeky article. Like there's that does make for an amazing marriage, Laura. That's a very special marriage that you can do that together. That article is it was another giant undertaking. It's nowhere near as big as being Julian Assange, but I think it's about 8,000 words or somewhere around there, 7,000 or 8,000 words. I wanted to show the current situation in Syria and whatnot in the true geopolitical context of the lead up to World War II. So, and I think I did a pretty good job of that, because basically the context of my article, Understanding World War III, is that we were told like that World War II started in 1939, but actually World War II started years and years before 1939. It's just that the public wasn't allowed. The global governments didn't acknowledge to the public that the World War was happening until 1939. And I think that's very similar to the situation that we're in now, where there's been these conflicts in a whole host of countries, but the governments won't admit, they haven't yet told us, they haven't yet declared World War III is happening. So in the history books, they tell us over and over again, World War II was 1939 to 1945, but actually that's not the case at all. It went on right throughout the 30s, and there was already like 5, 6, 7 nations who had been invaded. And there was this internecine global conflict in those nations for the entire decade. And the article is really about understanding that world wars aren't just happening when our governments tell us that they're happening, but they happen when these preconditions are occurring. And we've already seen those preconditions occurring over the last decade. So it's ridiculous to think we're not in a world war just because our governments haven't said that we are. But similar to being Julian Assange, it covers a lot of ground. Understanding World War III moves from point to point to point. There's a lot of different information in that article. There are a lot of really good arguments that I think that's actually true, Brian Crosby, what you've just said. Brian's just said that he heard World War I was the one that never ended until Hitler died, and that there wasn't a World War II. I think that you can make that argument quite easily. Because it was ultimately it was the same parties that were involved in World War II as were involved in World War I. But so much of the history is just bullshit. It really, really is. So when you study the events yourself and you study the timelines yourself, you get a completely different picture from what it is that we're taught in like high school history. Totally different picture. Okay, wonderful people. I will just check my Twitter really fast because I know I have like a ton more notifications again. Getting DMs from the guy that wants to debate me and wants to defend the NSA. Okay, I have accepted his challenge to the debate. And we'll schedule something separately. If he's willing to openly debate me face to face, that's totally cool. Propaganda, that's a really nice offer. Best thing is for you to join our Discord and coordinate with the other people who are doing event promotions, because they've got all the official materials and everything like that. But that would be really, really cool. I mean, downloadable flyers and stuff is like on our list, on our agenda to do. Okay, so moving along, let's go back to documents. Sorry guys, I know I'm way behind on my notifications. Okay. Okay, the other end-to-end SIGINT site in the UK. Everyone has heard of Menwith Hill Station, but what about the GCHQ site where British and American SIGINTers are working side by side? Royal Air Force Digby, a small base situated in the peaceful Lincolnshire countryside, does not attract the kind of press attention lavished on RAF Menwith Hill to the north, and long may that continue. Well, it's getting a bit more attention now, isn't it? The American presence here is a quiet one, but has a profound impact as soldiers, sailors, and airmen work together with their British counterparts to produce critical intelligence on an amazing variety of targets, all tasked by GCHQ. After 5 years at Menwith Hill and a considerable number of TDYs to GCHQ, I thought I had seen all the charms which the English countryside had to offer. But Lincolnshire has its own special landscape, similar to the unspoiled parts of my home state, Ohio. At the heart of it is the lovely town of Lincoln, where the skyline is still dominated by the magnificent cathedral. Oh, God. Some parts of which date all the way back to the year 1092. Housing prices in Lincolnshire are quite cheap in comparison with the London area, so more and more people are choosing to live here and make the daily commute on the fast train from Margaret Thatcher's birthplace, the nearby town of Grantham. I relish the hustle and bustle of London and spend a lot of time there, only to be relieved to get away from the crowds, get on the train and zip back to the sweet tranquility of Lincolnshire. The SIGINT mission here is incredibly diverse and tailored to intelligence needs from Stratcom, Northcom, EUCom, and CENTCOM, in addition to UK customers, including direct support to UK forces in Iraq and Afghanistan. Director NSA's vision of increasing collaboration with second-party partners is a reality on the Digby ops floor every day, with collectors, linguists, and analysts working as a virtual team with their counterparts at the GRSOC, MRSOC, and the new Alaska Mission Operations Center. Unlike most US SIGINT sites, Digby is still small enough to retain a family feeling. And a fantastic social life can be had on base and off, with a vast number of gatherings, balls, and dinings in held throughout the year. Right now, I'm the only NSA civilian, but as part of the ongoing mission alignment, 3 more NSA civilian positions for Digby SIGINT Operations Center are going to be advertised soon. I'm looking forward to a few more lucky individuals joining me as we work with our closest ally to, oh God, that of course is the same ally that supplied them with bullshit intelligence on weapons of mass destruction. As we work with our closest ally to better satisfy both UK and US customer requirements while learning a lot and having a great time in the process. Happy hour at the pub, anyone? No wonder Elizabeth gets so sickened when she has to read this crap. Good Lord, honestly. Jenny, who are we ignoring? The debate guy. I'm missing something here. Yvonne M. Langlois says there are several UK bases which are actually US bases. Yvonne, I did some research into this and I discovered that post-World War II there is 100 US military facilities on UK soil. 100. So it's not even an issue of several. There's literally 100. Jenny, the Serverland references are from 2005 NSA documents, so it's highly unlikely. Remember that since then, the NSA has built the whole Utah data warehousing facility. So I'd say that they've long since outgrown Serverland, but I'm just interested to know whether Serverland is a private facility or a government facility. Do you guys have any other questions before I move on to the next documents? Just yell out if you do. Oh, it's interesting that the debate guy said to me, he thinks like it will make our show more fair and balanced, like if we have him promoting like the NSA's like talking points on it or whatever. I find that amusing because you don't see the NSA inviting NSA critics to make their publications more fair and balanced. Funnily enough, there is no dissenting opinions at all. In any of the NSA publications, they wouldn't tolerate dissenting opinions for a minute. In fact, it's the fastest way to end up on a target list is to internally dissent against the NSA. However, I am more than happy to debate anybody who wants to attempt to defend the global network, the global enterprise, as the NSA likes to call their transnational treason business. Guys, if you're joining the Internet Party Discord, make sure you tag in either myself or Joe, at Joe, who's our tech director for Internet Party, and let us know who you are and that you've come here from the Decipher chat so that we can give you the right permissions. Otherwise, you'll just only see the general channel and that's it. Josiah says we see enough of the NSA's side from the MSM. Yeah, you're absolutely spot on with that. Hope says, see the gleam in Susie's eye. She would destroy him in the debate. Well, that would be very embarrassing for him because I'm actually a high school dropout. So if he gets destroyed in a debate by a high school dropout, I would find that extra amusing. I guess I am a high school dropout that's read over 1,000 Snowden documents, though. You guys are very funny. Okay, so we're done with that document. Interesting. So the next document is about something called Rhineland, which is a project for fingerprinting voices of targets, selecting and filtering them. It's just one of those brown bag session promos, so I'm not going to read through the whole document because there's really only one paragraph that's significant. It says, Reinhardt is a project that addresses a significant challenge facing the SIGINT community, how to effectively isolate voice communications of interest from vast amounts of collection. Reinhardt is an exploration and prototyping effort that introduces commercial and government-developed automated voice selection and filtering solutions into an operational SIGINT environment. The goal is to decrease the amount of time a language analyst spends listening to traffic and increase time spent on evaluating and reporting traffic of intelligence value. The most interesting thing about that is that that's technology that we hear about in the current day. And that this is 2005. So this is 13 years ago that they were creating voice prints and selecting and targeting voice traffic on the basis of those prints. So it's just yet another example of us seeing that the NSA was absolutely miles ahead of where we thought they were or might think they are. Laura Powers, please excuse me, how can I be helpful and better informed? Should I join somewhere to read your docs along with you? So these docs, Laura, that we're reading from are batch releases from The Intercept. So if you go to theintercept.com and click on the SID Today Snowden files, which is under documents, I'm pretty sure, on the left-hand menu, then you can do that. Otherwise, these guys can actually give you, I think, the HTML file that contains all of these documents. We're on batch 5 currently, so we've already done the previous 4 batches to date. So that's if you want to see the documents and study them along with us, but so that you guys don't have to, like, you know, store Snowden documents on your computers if you don't want to, we share screen and read through the documents together generally in most cases. I didn't for that one because it was just a brown bag session doc, but usually we actually share screen and you can sit and read them on our screen on the stream itself. Also reading, I mean, Fly and Cockatoo and some of the others are constantly churning out links and related info into the chat. So just have a chat to the Fly, ask the Fly any questions that you have, and they will give you all kinds of interesting and useful information about what it is that we're doing here and how we're doing it. And thank you to everybody who's tweeting out the stream and telling people that we're live. I really appreciate that. It's really cool. I try and catch your tweets and retweet them. Okay, so, and by the way, if you ask me a question and I didn't see it, just keep asking, or tell Fly or someone who can like nag at me to answer it, because I'm not deliberately ignoring anyone, but the chat is moving pretty fast. And I agree with you, Matt, that everyone who's in our group is really freaking amazing. We're very lucky. We have such awesome people here with us. And so knowledgeable as well. Really, really cool. MI5 handle is asking, where is the list of UK bases? I'm pretty sure that I sourced those bases in Understanding World War III, but it's been over a year since I wrote that article, so I'd have to go back and dig through it, but I'm pretty sure that I did source it in there. Because this was something that I didn't understand for a long time. Let me give you the context for how that came about. So basically, in New Zealand, in 2014, we had Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, and Glenn Greenwald and Kim.com speak together at a very famous event called the Moment of Truth. And I was there and covered it live. I was involved in promoting it beforehand, et cetera, et cetera. Anyone who's seen my documentary would have heard a bit more about that. At that event, one of the revelations, which the New Zealand media completely fucking ignored, was that there are NSA bases, there are NSA facilities on New Zealand soil. And that was an extremely shocking revelation, because New Zealand, not only because it had been hidden from the public, but because New Zealand is supposed to be a Commonwealth country, which means essentially it's owned by the Queen of England, right, by the UK. So we couldn't work out why on earth if we were going to have foreign bases on our soil or foreign military facilities on our soil, why would they be US bases and NSA bases? Why would they not be UK bases? And why would our UK overlords allow the US, which is not a Commonwealth country, to have military facilities and bases on New Zealand soil? And that puzzled me for a really, really, really long time, because it just made no sense whatsoever that as a Commonwealth country, we didn't have Commonwealth bases, we had US bases and facilities. And then I looked into US bases on UK soil, and I found a map, and the map was post World War II. I think it was early 50s actually. From the early 50s through to the current day, there was over 100 military facilities mapped on UK soil. And that just was like a major revelation to me, because all of a sudden I understood the reason that the UK tolerates New Zealand having US military facilities is because the UK itself is essentially under US military occupation. Like, they would never admit that, but that's basically the case. When you have 100, I mean, could you imagine the US having 100 UK bases on US soil? There's just no way in hell that it would ever happen. There's no way in hell the US would ever allow it. I know they have the Joint Drone Station, and why is that? That's because they don't want the UK independently operating the drones. Right now, the US has a total monopoly on deployment of military drones. Hang on, I'm going to cough again. Does the CIA basically answer, Matt's asking, does the CIA basically answer to the UK anyway, or rather the shadow government that controls it? Matt, basically the top echelons of intelligence and of banking and of industry are a transnational cabal. they may claim to represent the US or the UK or European countries or wherever else, but their allegiance to their class supersedes their allegiance to their nation state. And the apparatus, the intelligence apparatus that has been built is, like I keep saying, it's a transnational operation, and it's not limited by its nationality. That's what it comes down to. And these countries that are supplying their citizens information directly into the global network are in fact betraying their national interest, the national interest of their individual countries. Ramstein is an abomination. I mean, Ramstein is, yet again, it's another example of a US military base on, in this case, German soil. It's supposed to be a German base, but at the end of the day, they have not only SIG there, but they have all full US military personnel there. And they are running drone operations. They're running targeted assassination programs. I mean, I was actually listening to Noam Chomsky today, and Noam Chomsky was explaining how the Magna Carta in the United States prohibited the government from meting out any punishment without due process. It specifically states that they must supply anybody who they accuse of a crime with a trial, and that it is in fact illegal under American law, or at least under the Magna Carta, the one of the foundation legal documents of the United States. It is completely not okay for them to assassinate people without due process, for them to decide that someone is so guilty that they can be blown up by a drone without ever accusing them of anything, without ever putting them on trial, charging them, allowing them to defend themselves. That these are the basic legal rights that America promised its citizens, and they have completely destroyed that. They have destroyed the founding legal premises of the United States of America in pursuit of the drone assassination program. So this is where we're at right now. Okay, guys, I'm going to share screen and let you see chat for a minute, because I'm just going to get myself a drink and some medicine for my flu. I will be right back. Now, who was it that was asking about Snowden? I think it was Laura. Lando Free tweeted how Julian Assange was cut off on 27th of March and that Ed Snowden stopped tweeting on 27th of March. He finds it's a coincidence. Is it okay to ask how you see this, Suzie? Should we be worried? Personally, I wouldn't be worried. I wouldn't be worried for a few reasons. So first of all, it's not uncommon for Snowden or for WikiLeaks or for Julian to not tweet for a week or more. There's been many, many instances of that. Secondly, people make a really big mistake. They assume that what's happening on Twitter is like the totality of what is happening in the real world. And that is, I can tell you, that is definitely not the case. Just because someone is quiet on Twitter doesn't mean they're doing nothing in the real world. And people are very aware that Twitter is a part of the... Can you guys hear me all right? Or am I muted? Mic check. Okay, it looks like you can hear me all right. So, cool, thank you guys for the feedback. So yeah, activists, people of note, understand that Twitter is it's basically a prison partner. It's basically one of these programs like Facebook, like Microsoft, like so many different networks that when we tweet, we are literally talking to the surveillance machine. We're contributing data into the surveillance machine. So just because their main account is not tweeting doesn't actually mean that there's nothing going on or that they're not responding to an issue. It just means that they, for whatever reason, are not choosing to make a public statement. I wouldn't read more into that than is there. If I were you guys, I would assume that there is a lot going on in the background at all times. Ryan Bannock, Suzie, you're destroying my view on the world. Why is that? I mean, that's just something that I've learned myself firsthand, is that what you see on Twitter is quite often, just Twitter is a public forum, right? And these are privacy activists. So what they're doing and saying in private is not necessarily what they're saying on Twitter. And if they choose not to say something on Twitter, it doesn't. I'm in a bit of a quagmire because I don't want to give away too much. I want to respect other people's privacy, but I would not take at face value what you see on Twitter. That's the summary there. Okay, guys, I'll take us through another document because I'm keen to make some good progress. The Squirrel Accumulator holds the latest info on NSA's capability against targeted technologies from the Technical Director of Protocol Exploitation. Web page launched with application layer protocol information secret. Would you like information on NSA's capabilities against a range of application layer protocols? Well, yes, I would. Thank you very much for providing it. The Squirrel Accumulator serves as a one-stop shop to provide you the answers. It is an electronic online list of 184 application layer protocols that were prioritized by analysis and production and provided to cryptanalysis and exploitation services for exploitation by SID's Strategic Metadata Initiative. The system allows analysts and developers from around the agency to seek out information on NSA's current exploitation capabilities against these protocols. Resources include protocol analysis, methods for tasking the SIGINT system, the current status of NSA's exploitation capabilities, and a bulletin board style note system where anyone in the SIGINT community, including second partners, can post or read notes about a particular protocol. To access the Squirrel Accumulator, simply type "go nuts." Classic. This one I'm just going to skim through because it's very unlikely to be anything of significance. Interesting that they label top secret issues of justifications for funding. No sound. Uh-oh. You guys can't hear me? Can you hear me? Sorry, I should put my video back on. Mic check. Oh, for some reason it wasn't putting my sound on while we were on screen. Sorry about that, while I was on the screen share. Okay, so I think we've done really well tonight. Let's see what document we're at. Yeah, we've done good. We've done like 20 documents. Just cheating and seeing if there's anything that looks interesting. No, I think that's enough for tonight. We've done pretty well. And I think we've been streaming for about 2 hours now. Okay, guys, any last questions before I wrap the stream up? Independent outsider says, what can we continue to do? Free Spirit, is Snowden okay? I'm sure that Snowden is just fine. And if Snowden was not just fine, you could expect a massive cacophony of people who are close to him making sure that we know that he's not okay. So I think Snowden is just fine, no problems. And Elizabeth will be just fine too. Don't worry about her. She's having a little break, but she's totally fine. She's been working her butt off. Like I said, she's been publishing every single day new articles about Julian's situation. So don't worry about her. She'll be just fine. Brian Cosbury says, I'm worried about Julian. I'm worried about Julian too. Julian being put in effective isolation is extremely concerning. However, I'm very happy to see 338 academics from 33 different countries wrote an open letter to the Ecuadorian government in support of Julian this week. That was pretty amazing. The last online vigil, the 10-hour one we did last week, was an incredible effort too. And also John Kiriakou and a number of ex-CIA and Intel people hand-delivered an open letter from them to the Ecuadorian embassy in Washington, D.C. this week. On top of that, I know Christine Assange announced on Randy Critico's radio show yesterday that there is an entire Assange Action Network being set up, and I know that the DM25 European movement is speaking out in support of Julian. There is a huge amount of people coming together to advocate to end Julian's isolation and for the protection of his human rights. So I think these are all really positive, really cool things. Any other questions, you guys? Ryan Bannock, do you have raw feelings about NZ officials and my treatment? Which NZ officials are you referring to, Ryan? If you could be like a little bit more specific about that, that would be cool. Please post all such links that support Julian Assange. I think periodically Fly has been sharing my article Being Julian Assange, which you can go and read. That's got a lot of information. In terms of his ongoing situation, your best bet is to check the hashtag #ReconnectJulian. And the new hashtag for the upcoming movement that we're building is #Unity4J. I'll put both of those into chat now. Ryan says, my government. When you say my government, are you referring to the John Key government or to the current New Zealand government? The targeting of me is something that I have covered pretty extensively in the past. The best links I can think of off the top of my head would be my documentary Diary of a Person of Interest. If you haven't seen that, just type in YouTube Diary of a Person of Interest. You can see, it was actually the first time I ever put myself on camera, and I talked all about what happened to me, who did it, why they were doing it, how they were doing it, and what I went through in New Zealand. It's probably better that you just watch that than me trying to rehash the whole thing here. Also, there's an article on Contraspin called 5i versus Kim.com. I'll put the link in. That is another really good source of information about what was happening to us in New Zealand. So 5i versus Kim.com is where I wrote about the targeting of Kim and Kim's situation. This is several years ago that I wrote this article, but I also there's a partial timeline in there of events that happened to us in New Zealand and the targeting of myself and my media team. Do I think with the current Ardern government will stand up for me? Well, I haven't heard anything from the current Ardern government. I don't know enough about their stance. I mean, what they say they'll do before they get into power and what they do after they get into power are generally two different things. For the Ardern government to stand up for me, they would need to be prepared to tackle some massive systemic issues with the intelligence services in New Zealand, of which there are many issues. The biggest thing that prevents me from going back to New Zealand is that the overseas spies, particularly the United States spies, act in New Zealand on New Zealand soil with total impunity, total and utter impunity. And the level of action that would need to be taken to prevent that from happening is pretty massive. And I think that if Ardern's government was prepared to tackle the Five Eyes to that extent, that there would be a huge amount of heat come down on their heads, you know, in pretty short order. I think that a lot of the dastardly stuff that was happening in New Zealand under the Key government, where all of the government departments and resources were used to persecute targets, and particularly journalists. If you've read Nicky Haga's book, Dirty Politics, he wrote about dozens of journalists who he had evidence that dozens of journalists in New Zealand were targeted by the government. They use what Julian Assange and WikiLeaks call a whole of government approach, referencing an Australian document that talked about a whole of government approach being used in the targeting of WikiLeaks. That's exactly what was happening in New Zealand. So everybody from the police agencies to the intelligence agencies to all of the social agencies and government departments were utilised and exploited to destroy a target. I don't think that is happening under the Ardern government, but I don't think that the Ardern government could protect me from the CIA or the NSA or the international military apparatus that is active in these countries. So, you know, it would be nice to think that the Ardern government could do something about it, but I don't have a lot of faith in that. I see that we think that the Ardern government is in control, but everything I've studied tells me and shows me and evidences that actually the politicians that we elect are not in control, or the military are in control. In fact, every single Western nation is a military dictatorship with a veneer of democracy. So this whole get out and vote once every 3 or 4 years thing, you're not ever actually voting for the people who are running the country, because the people who are running the country are the military. And it's just totally false for us to think that our elected leaders are the ones that are ultimately in control or pulling the strings. It is a transnational military conglomerate that is truly in charge of the Western nations and many of the third world nations as well. So on that basis, I think it's kind of irrelevant really whether Ardern's government wants to stick up for me, because I don't believe that they could protect me. Thank you. I mean, so many people are saying nice things about me. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not very good at accepting compliments. Sorry. Everything that I've done and said has been out of necessity. When you watch my documentary, an astute viewer of my documentary will watch it and see that I was basically shitting myself through the entire thing, because I had interviewed all number of political leaders and activists and high profile people in New Zealand, but I had never, ever once, ever put myself onto camera, because I was always showing people what was happening, or I was highlighting the words in the speech of the people who I was interviewing. You can hear me asking them questions. You can hear that I'm filming, that I'm present in the actions, but I never, ever, ever, ever put myself on camera. But I knew when I did my documentary that it got to the point where I needed to explain to people what had been happening to me. And I knew that people needed to be able to see me say it. It wasn't something I could voice over. So that was the first time, after 5 years of interviewing people, that was the first time that I ever actually had a camera pointing at me while I was talking. And so, like, when I rewatch the documentary, I can see how uncomfortable I am. And I really was forcing myself to continue and keep going and keep speaking, because I knew it was important for people to be able to see my facial expressions and be able to, because you can tell when someone's lying, and you can tell when someone's telling the truth. And I knew that people would be able to understand better if they could see me. Yeah, thanks. I'd just like to say, this is another thing I always forget. I always forget to ask people to support me, or to ask for help or ask for donations. I'm always so focused on the work. But some people have been, without me even asking at all, have been going to my website and donating to me. And I actually wanted to say thank you so much, because you're actually keeping me alive, like literally. I don't talk about it often, but I have horrendous legal fees and horrendous other things I have to pay for. And the surveillance state did a very good job of stripping me of all of my assets. So I genuinely appreciate that. And I'm also sorry too. I know that I've gotten a huge increase in following in the last couple of months, and I actually haven't updated my website at all. I've been so busy trying to coordinate for Julian and stuff that I haven't even had time to go and put all my new interviews and all the stuff that I've done up on my website. So my website is like at least 3 months out of date right now. But yeah, thank you to those people who have made donations. I can receive Bitcoin, or you can donate through PayPal on my website, suzie3d.com. But it means a huge deal to me. Like when I wake up and I see there's notifications that someone sent me $25 or someone sent me $50, it really is like woohoo for me, because there are tangible things that I can do because of that. So thank you so much. Even if it's just paying for my Zoom account and whatever, it does make a huge difference. So it's an amazing thing for me to have people like take the initiative to do that. It's like really, really cool. Very, very cool. Okay, any last questions, guys? Otherwise, I'm going to get some sleep because it's like 5:30 in the morning here. I think you'll like what we've got in store in the coming week. Okay, good night, beautiful people. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everyone who's actually going and researching Serverland and the different things that we've discussed. I really, really appreciate it. Next on my agenda is to get the batch 4 summary piece up onto decipheru.com. Yeah, we'll look at scheduling the debate. To be honest with you, I'm actually really happy to do a debate against someone who's pro-NSA. I think it would be quite interesting to do. But I will be putting it, it will be secondary to the things that I'm already working on and that we've got planned. If you want to see me on Democracy Now!, if you want to see me on Jimmy Dore, if you want to see, I think someone sent a tweet today to Oksana Boyko on RT and said they should cover my situation. Just like tweet those people. If there are platforms that you want me to be on, tweet them and tell them, hey, you should have Suzie on, and I'll happily do it. RSFO says NSA is an odd god to defend. I understand why people are incentivized to defend the RSFO. Version 8, I was already on Redacted Tonight. I was there like 2 weeks ago. So if you like type in YouTube, Suzie Dawson, Redacted Tonight, you can see that slot already. I'll tell you who I'd like to be on actually. I'd like to be on Tim Black, because he was a part of our vigil last week and he was so good. I was really impressed with the way that he just jumped on and what a fantastic job he did of advocating for Julian. So now get Tim Black to have me on his show. That would be super cool. Burton 8 says under proper management, the NSA might be good for rooting out the actual super criminals. You know, that's a point that I actually made in a interview, actually of the previous leader of the Internet Party of New Zealand, my predecessor. Her name is Lila Hare. She's an incredibly accomplished politician going back years and years and years. And I was interviewing her during the 2014 Internet Party campaign. And I said to her, like, about the GCSB, the New Zealand's NSA, like, we'd just had this huge scandal about rape crews that were gang raping underage girls in New Zealand and getting away with it. And we asked exactly that same question. We said, like, you know, if the GCSB's superpowers were turned to good use, you know, how quickly could they eradicate rape? How quickly could they eradicate some of these social ills if they were actually targeting gang rapists, if they were targeting actual criminals, you know, rather than targeting people for economic reasons or for targeting political dissidents? What if they're actually using it for social good? And I think that's a very key point about NSA, because if the customers of the NSA were directing the NSA to spy for the social good on actual criminals, it would completely change. It completely change the situation. But unfortunately, they are spying to make mega millions and billions of dollars and spying to shut down political opposition rather than to stop 13-year-olds being gang raped. Yes, exactly. Burden 8 just said, if we, the people, were the customers. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. We, the people, should be the customers of the NSA, not the Federal Reserve Bank, who is a customer of the NSA, not, you know, the Department of Agriculture and all of these other customers of the NSA that are in it for business reasons, for money. Yeah, one of the coolest things about Russia is that there is no GMOs and everything's organic. It really is one of the best things about being here. There's a lot that I like about Russia, actually. Russia reminds me a lot of what New Zealand was like pre-neoliberalism. It's really like it's like a country that hasn't been conquered yet, that still has its culture and still has its roots and still has local manufacturing and still has a lot of the things that we lost in New Zealand that neoliberalism stripped from New Zealand, which is why it's on the deep state shit list. Yeah, I mean, just to like yet again quote another one of my articles, if you're interested in what happened to New Zealand, I wrote an article called The Desecration of New Zealand that has like over 100 source links and goes through the total destabilization of New Zealand that occurred particularly from 2008 to 2016. I'll drop the link in for you guys. that doesn't work, it might be this, because I can't remember what the correct spelling was. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it there. Thank you so much for sticking it out with me. I really, really appreciate it. And we'll try to see you again on Tuesday. Okay, night night. And Jenny McIntyre says they're looking forward to Unity for J. I'm looking forward to it as well. It's going to be totally awesome. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, sure. I'd love to be on Lionel Nation too. Lionel follows me, so go harass him and tell him that he needs to interview me. I find him very amusing. Our politics are not entirely aligned, like by any stretch of the imagination, but I do find him very amusing, and I would find it amusing to be on his show. Okay, thank you guys. Night night. Thank you so much. Have a good one.